Happy New Year. Another podcast from RAYA'S Paradise. Monica, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Monty. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Today is Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. Topic of the podcast will be about admissions. How do you find admission? How do you find the right placement? And what are the resources you should use to find the right admission for your loved ones? Monica, so what do you think about an admission for somebody that a loved one is looking? For example, let's just say somebody is looking to place their husband, wife, grandparents, whoever. What do you think is the best approach if you know nothing about the long-term care industry? Where would you start, or where would you suggest them to start looking?
You know, Monty, that's interesting that you bring up this topic because it is a topic that's very frequently asked. And in today's world, everybody goes immediately to our internet and the computer. And the top common search engine is assisted living or memory care. And then somehow they stumble across either a placement agency or they stumble across a website that will be able to help them. But most generally, families are confused and not knowing where to go when it comes to looking exactly for what they need.
But don't you think placement agencies, they're biased because if they have a contract with it? First of all, let me back up for a second. Don't they get paid if you reach out to a placement agency and they say, okay, I have facility A, B, and C, and you choose one of their referrals, they get reimbursed by the facility. Am I correct?
You are correct, but there's pros and cons to that.
What are
they? For instance, I'm a family member and I have no idea what to do, where to go. And somebody turned me on to a referral placement agency. And I connected with this placement agency and they tell me, listen, I'm going to help you with whatever you need. I'm going to seek out all the locations that you're looking for. You tell me about your loved one and I take it from there. Remembering one thing, the family has no idea that the placement agency is going to charge or have a fee for the location that they place their loved one. Again, I'm a family member and I don't know, so I'm going based on this referral source that I just got put in contact with, and now I'm working with this referral agency and they're going to refer to a location. Now, how is it a pro and con? It's a pro for the family because they're actually guiding the family through every process, every step of the way, something a family's lost in. You just remember I said all you have is the computer to look at and sources off of the computer. Somebody who doesn't know the industry has no idea what to look for. So I'm getting referred to a referral source and that person is now going to guide me. He or she will give me all of the information that I need. Now, when I look at it on the flip side of a coin for a assisted living facility or a boarding care facility or a skilled nursing facility, yes, there's a fee. However, they are the ones guiding the family in the door to to the facility, wherever it is that they're wanting to place them. So again, there's a pro and con.
Correct, but let me wait a minute. But here's my question. So let's just say I'm looking to place my grandma in the facility, and they going to give me 3 facilities. Right? I'm reaching out to a referral agency.
Okay.
And this referral agency is going to give me 3 names, 3 locations.
Okay.
But let's say the best, most appropriate placement for my grandmother, this referral agency does not have a contract with them. Will they refer me?
Yes, those are the risks that you take. But again, if you're a family member that doesn't know this, then how would you know what's right or wrong for your loved one?
You don't.
No, you don't. But if you are somebody that knows a little bit more about the industry, then you're not going to need the referral source. You're not going to need that person.
Yeah, but that
to
doesn't
help
mean you're
you.
going to land on the best suitable location for your loved ones,
no,
right?
But again, this is why a lot of families today are lost as to what do we do when I have my loved one at home and now I need care. Do I start with care at home? Do I find a placement for my loved one? And if I do find a placement, where do I begin looking? You got to remember, there's 4 different placements. There's independent living, there's assisted living, there's memory care, and there's skilled nursing. So how does a family member know where to go? A lot of family members think, I need a skilled nursing facility if their loved one is bedbound, and that's not true.
So what would you, okay, so let me ask you this. So what would you recommend in terms of asking or recommending for family members how to determine what level of care the loved one needs? Based on what? If they don't know anything about this industry.
The best advice that I can give a family member is if you don't know what to do, you have no clue which route to go, you want to start with your physician first. Ask your physician, if you were to go based on my loved one's level of care, where do you think my loved one is at?
But a lot of physicians don't know themselves. A lot of physicians actually would recommend skilled because they know nothing about assisted living, or even the smaller ones who are referred as boarding care facilities, right? A lot of them wouldn't even know. They would say, yeah, your mom or your dad or whoever it is.
I wouldn't say that's so true today. Maybe if you asked me that 2 years ago, I would tell you that that was true. But I think a lot of physicians are starting to see that assisted livings can take care of the elders just as much or even better than a skilled nursing facility. The ratios are better inside of assisted livings, boarding cares, than they are inside of skilled nursings. So again, you have your pros and cons to either or. However, for a family member that doesn't know which route to go, the best thing to do is either you ask friends, family members that may be able to guide you, or 2, you start with the physician, or 3, consider contacting a geriatric case manager that might be able to give you information.
How do you find those?
You can actually find a geriatric care manager, 1, through a physician, 2, there you can do searches on geriatric case managers, or you can find them through social services department. There's many different ways that you can find, but a geriatric case manager might be able to help a family member if someone doesn't know which route to go.
Is there any specifications in terms of, I don't know, I just running small facilities in the past, I just know that a lot of referral agencies would not refer to me if I would say, oh, your fee's too high, I'm not going to contract with you. And therefore, they would not refer to me, even though I was the most appropriate placement for the loved one of their client. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this. I don't know. I know you ran larger scale operations. I ran smaller operations, and that's the experience that I've had in the past.
Well, again, in today's world, because there are a lot of options for families, it really depends on the relationship that you have with the referral source. If you have a good relationship with the referral source, at the end of the day, the referral source is looking for the best interest of the family / or client. And so are we. So is the placement, the receiving party. So if you're working with the right person and the family's connected to the right person, they're going to guide you the right way. You want a lot of options. My best advice to a family member is to ask for a lot of options. Their goal, family members' goals, are to actually say, don't lie about the actual care that your loved one needs. If your loved one is bedbound, then you need to say that your loved one is bedbound. If your loved one has behaviors, you need to talk about the behaviors. Hidden things are not good when it goes to placement.
What questions would you advise? I mean, I don't know. Usually, a licensed facility should be doing an assessment prior to admission, right?
Yes.
But is there anything that you think the family should come prepared or ask certain questions to kind of get a feel whether or not this is the proper placement for the loved ones?
My biggest recommendation, to any family member out there looking, the first thing to do before you do any type of search is go to the community care licensing website, whether it's for skilled nursing facility or whether it is for smaller assisted livings or boarding cares. If you go to the licensing website, it will tell you how that facility operates. Those are public documents. Once a family does that, again, I'm not saying to judge them based on that, because there's a lot of falsified information. There's a lot of accusations that are placed on a location and they're not substantiated. However, I would recommend that if a family really doesn't have any education to the background of what placement is all about, that's the first place I would recommend a family member go to.
Licensing website.
That is correct.
ccld.ca.gov or something like that. Okay. But that still doesn't answer my question. Let's say I went to the website of the licensing agency and I found 2 or 3 locations that I like, and I now I'm calling to make a tour, to visit a facility in person. I look around, I like what I see. What happens? What kind of questions should I ask whoever I'm going to meet with? Are there any specific questions that I should ask and expect a certain answer before it triggers a red flag or a green flag saying, oh, it's a good one, let's do it, or no, red flag, well, that's not what I want to hear, or this is not something I should hear? Are there any questions that you would recommend for responsible parties or families to ask prior to making the final determination before placing their loved one?
So the number one thing, there's a long list of things that we can get into, and we can actually talk about them at a different podcast. But the number one thing that I would suggest the family look for is the number one question is the care ratio. What is the ratio of caregivers to residents? And I'm not talking just in general. You need to break it down. What is your care ratio in the morning? What is your care ratio in the afternoon? And what is your care ratio at nighttime?
When you say care ratio, you're referring to direct care staff.
That is correct.
Caregivers.
So, that is correct. So if the facility says to you, oh, we offer a, 5-to-1. Okay, that's great. That's what I want to hear. So I have five residents to one caregiver. Okay, so what happens after 3:00? Because there's obviously 3 different shifts. There's a 7 to 3, there's a 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and 11 to 7 shift. So family member needs to clarify and say that the 5-to-1 is the morning. What is your PM? Because the PM might go to 9-to-1 or 15-to-1.
And that's obviously not good if you have memory
that is correct.
Yeah.
And then the nighttime is very crucial. If the facility is saying it's 26-to-1, 30-to-1, then you need to start asking a lot of questions. What if my loved one gets up? What if my loved one can't sleep at night? What if my loved one falls at night? How are you going to hear my loved one? So again, many, many questions to be asked once you have chosen a location, and we can discuss that in another podcast as to what are the actual questions you ask or you look for. What are the things you look for inside of a community/facility once you have found placement?
Yeah. Yeah. What would you recommend? What in your kind of sort of experience? What's a good ratio or a healthy ratio? Let's say for the morning shift, for the afternoon shift, and for the night shift. Assuming we're not talking about memory care, we're talking about assisted living.
Well, that would be kind of hard to answer inside of an assisted living because you can have someone move in that doesn't need any care, but then
let's talk about minimum. Like there's an absolute minimum. What would be a minimum that you would feel comfortable with?
Nothing more than 7.
7-to-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 7-to-1 is okay. What about in a memory care?
No memory care. Nothing more than 5.
5-to-1, right? So we were talking about 1 attendant for 5 residents.
That is correct.
So anything below that, it would be better. There's 1 for 4, 1 for 3 is even better.
Course.
Yeah, that comes. Okay. Is there anything else that you think you would like to share with our listeners, or?
No, not today.
Not on this topic?
No.
Well, I think that concludes our podcast for today. If you have any questions, Monica, I do want you to share your information with everybody in case they do have questions, so you can reach out. This is actually free of cost. There's no cost associated with it. If you have any questions or you want some advice or directions, Monica can assist you. Monica is a geriatric care manager. She's been managing and operating large-scale facilities in the assisted living world and the memory care world. Monica, why don't you share your information with everybody so if they have any questions, they know how to reach you?
Sure, absolutely. I can be reached directly at monica@RAYA'Sparadise.com. And my phone number is 310-295-1838. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next week.